Hi, I'm Megan Hickey, and this is my second book critique. For my featured book, I decided to choose the book He Said Yes. This is by Kelly Ann Lynch, and a fun fact is that this is actually my aunt, and she wrote this book. It was illustrated by M. Scott Oatman, and the genre is biography, picture, and informational. The reading level is first grade and up, and this is a book about the life of Father Michael Judge. And this book is super cool because it's all about how Father Michael Judge said yes. And he would always say yes, and he was always devoted to helping others. His original name was Robert Emmett Judge, but he changed it when he entered the priesthood. He changed his name to his father's name Michael and his mother's name Fallon. He later on changed the spelling of Michael to Michael with a Y because it was very common in the priesthood for the name Michael to be spelled Michael. And Father Michael was so brave, and he gave his life during 9/11 to help others. He always said yes. For the lesson plan I have for this is for a first grade class, and I have an assignment of I can statements. And these would be say yes statements. A little twist on I can statements by having the students come up with ways that they can say yes, just like Father Michael Judge did. And for a third grade class, I would have each student make their own Google Slides about which situation stood out to them where Father Michael Judge said yes. And then they will present these little Google Slides in class. For my second book, I have The Graveyard Book. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was very interesting. And this was by Neil Gaiman. The genre is modern fantasy and traditional literature. The award is the John Newbery Award. Its reading level is third grade and up. And this is a summary about Nobody Owens. He was raised in a graveyard by ghosts, and he was lucky enough to experience the alive world and the dead world. So it was very interesting for him as a human being to interact with the dead. And this way he finds his way through a life of living with ghosts but still being able to be alive. It's a very interesting book, and I really suggest reading it. And my third book is Susanna of the Alamo, and this is by John Jakes. It is illustrated by John Bacon. The genre is biography, informational, picture, and multicultural. The summary is about Susanna Dickinson, and this was about Mexico's General Santa Anna, who spared Susanna's death. And this way, she could be a witness to what happened when the general led the victory of Texas's independence from Mexico. My fourth book is Baron von Steuben, and I thought this book was very appropriate because we are in Steubenville. And the author that wrote this was Bruce Adelson and Arthur M. Schlesinger Jr. The genre is biography and informational. The reading level is fourth grade and up. And this is a story about Baron Frederick and how he mastered war tactics and battle techniques. And this very interesting story tells all about how General Washington appointed him the Inspector General of the American Army. And then for book number 5, I had Escape from Pompeii, and the author is Christina Ballard. The genre is historical fiction. The reading level is second grade and up. And this summaries a book about the tragic event of Pompeii way back when. And this was about how Pompeii was covered from an exploding volcano. And it was very interesting because the author created it from characters' point of views when the event was occurring. And my sixth book is The Book Thief. And this book I very highly suggest. It was written by Markus Zusak. The genre is historical fiction. The awards are the Michael L. Prince Award. The reading level would be 5th grade and up. And this is a book that happened during World War II. And during World War II, it was well known that books were looked down upon and they were burned so that kids were not able to read them. But Liesel was a young German girl and she loved to read books. So she would steal and hide the books so that she could read them later. And she knew that she was going through this risk and that she could get trouble. So it's a very interesting book about her experience stealing and hiding the books so that she could read it later, all throughout World War II. And then for my book 7, I have A Child's Book of Celtic Prayers. And I thought that this was very interesting, and it was by Joyce Denham. It was illustrated by Helen Cann with beautiful pictures inside. The genre is picture and informational, and the reading level is first grade and up. And this is a book full of prayers that children can learn and pray, and it has some awesome illustrations to really captivate the children. And for the last critique, I decided to do a poem, and this is one of my favorite poems. It's from a very popular movie, and the author is Walt Whitman, and the genre is poetry. The reading level is fourth grade and up, and this is a poem written about the death of President Abraham Lincoln, and this poem is from the movie Dead Poets Society, which has really captivated a lot of people, and it's just a really great poem that I feel like would captivate students. And these are my 8 book critiques. Thank you.